Here in the Northern Rockies, dark winter months are outlasted in basements, dens, and nooks where kindred souls gather together to share intel, swap fly patterns, and relive the memories from seasons past. This gathering spot, known locally as the February Room, is the inspiration for this podcast. No matter the season, the door is always open to those with a fly fishing story to tell. Brought to you by CD Fishing USA, the North American distributor for composite development fly rods and accessories. 40 years of Kiwi ingenuity and graphite technology, now available at cd-fishing.us or your local CD USA dealer. Follow us on Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook. And remember to go fishing. Here's your host, the Carnops, and this is the February Room.
Welcome to the February Room. As the new year approaches, a few of us are starting to figure out what our new year resolutions will be. A lot of those resolutions being a better you. Today, my guest is an outfitter, life coach, and can provide some tips to make the next year the best year. Welcome to the February Room, Rachel Andras.
Thank you. Thanks so much. Yes, let's be awesome, but be more awesome than last year, right?
Man, every year we're just like, hey, let's try and make this year a better year, because each year we think it's probably the worst year, right? Like let's get that behind us.
Yeah, we tend to assess ourselves or our life or go through our pictures and go, what just happened last year? Is it really December? And always. We fish enough.
Always. Isn't that so true? I think I look at my calendar and keep saying, I can't believe it's already December. But before we kind of go into some healthy options as we kind of go into the new year, we love hearing a fishing story. And I know you have tons of them because I know you've worked with, as an outfitter, you've worked with television. So I can't wait to hear what story you have to share with us.
Oh, well, so, I've been fly fishing for a long time, and a fly rod's taking me all over the world, which I'm super grateful for. It's, I've met some amazing people along the way too. And I love our new friendship too with you.
Yes.
So I can't wait to fish with you. But I will say one of just a grand adventure, which there's always a lot, but one of my grand adventures was when I went to French Polynesia with, and I got to go with Fanny Krieger, Mel Krieger's wife. And so she at that time, I mean, this was like 20 years ago. So she was in her 70s at that time, and I was in my 20s at that time, and
just a young baby.
And so so we had a big old time, and we got to go to the Anna Atoll, and that's pretty much a chain of lagoons. An atoll is a chain of chain of islands that creates a lagoon, and so I'd never really been in that situation. It was all beautiful blue water. We also went to Tetiaroa, which was like this Marlon Brando's island, like all this fun stuff, except, as foo-foo as it sounds, there were giant rats, in the dinner hut when we were giant, like golden retriever size. So we gross on adventures, but we definitely, when we were on Anna's one of those islands. It kind of reminds me of Christmas Island. Have you been to Christmas Island yet?
I haven't, but Justin has, and I've heard nothing but amazing things about the bone fishing and all the great stuff.
Amazing. But it's unique because just like Christmas Island, they have one flight a week. I think the barge comes in about once a month, with supplies and everything. So it's pretty limiting on what you have. So they really utilize the resource. And part of fishing and travel and fishing is really to learn about their culture, and just it's super fun to just enjoy all of that. And so we were on kind of an adventure to see if there were we'd heard about this good bone fishing happening there, and so we went down to check it out, and had a great time. We were, taken care of. We had very good guides. These guides would walk around with giant pitchforks because of all the sharks that were there. And this was all wade fishing.
All wade fishing, so no skiffs?
No, no, we had pangas, kind of what they use in Mexico to get around. And so that was fine, but we really, I mean, the best fishing was on foot, which is awesome. That's what we live for. And when you see these, white sand flats, easy wading, it was super cool, minus the sharks. And so we'd see some fish, some big ones, and we were lucky. We caught a couple big brown or big bonefish. I think my biggest was 9 pounds, and I remember with that fish, I couldn't even lift the rod like to get the line up over the coral, because there's coral on the flat too, and on the reef, and it was such a strong fish. I could only put my arms out straight, like my rod out straight. It was like parallel to the water. I could barely get the rod to bend just because there was such a strong pull. And I haven't caught a ton of giant bonefish before. And so I was really surprised. I've caught tarpon, I've got other things, but you use a bigger rod in that department. So it's different. And so anyway, that was kind of cool. But I have to tell you, let's get back to the culture. Like the best part, I mean, not the best part. One of the greatest parts of that trip was we just stayed in this little house, this family's house, where the mom would cook all our meals in the kitchen, and we would sit there at the kitchen table and have all our meals. It was absolutely fabulous. But I had the best meal of my life there. They have these crabs that drink coconut milk. They get into the coconuts and they drink the coconut milk. And then when you go to eat these beautiful creatures, oh my gosh, it's like the best crab meat you'll ever eat. And so I remember, and in the houses too, you had to step over something to get in. It was dirt floors, but you would step over it because all the crabs and all the critters wouldn't come into your house if you had this little ledge over your door to get in.
No, that sounds delicious, but the idea of having to have something, I mean, I'm sure I could do it, but that stuff just kind of creeps me out. Like waking up in the morning, if I like looked over the side, but also remind me of the song, like you put the lime in the coconut, you mix it all together,
Totally. And I grew up in North Carolina where it's super humid and mosquitoes, and there's a reason why I live in Oregon now, and that's one of the major ones. But I remember the next week we went over to Tetiaroa, and we slept in beds with the netting, which is such a photogenic sort of cool thing, but not when it's hot and sticky. Like Fanny and I were pretty much naked laying inside these things because we were so hot, and we were just like, are we having fun yet?
It's one of those things that you appreciate afterwards, how cool it was.
Totally. And that's, to me, I feel like I can deal with humidity as long as I'm going fishing. Like that's the only thing, not grocery shopping, not doing things with the fam, like just fishing. That's about it.
Yeah, because there's also cool water. Because I feel like when the humidity gets to you, like how you need a bubble of like distance from everybody. Like, oh, you're in my good air. But like when humidity hits you, it's like your bubble went away and everything is like too close to you. Like anything that's touching you, you're like grossed out. Yeah, I totally, completely understand.
Grossed out from yourself.
Yeah, you're just like, I don't even like fishing with myself right now, especially like if you're casting and the humidity is hitting like in between your armpit. You're just like, oh, this feels gross.
I know. And I feel very lucky to have gone there with Fanny. We had some great memories. We had some amazing trevally fishing too. We had a flat named after us, Ranny Flat, so a little bit of Rachel, mostly Fanny.
Wait, say the name of it. What's the name of the flat again?
Ranny, Ranny. I don't even know if anyone knows about it, but we know about it. And
that is so cool. It's almost like buying your own star. You remember how that was a thing? Like every Christmas, you were like, I bought you a star. Yeah. And nobody knows about that name of that star, but that one right there.
We had this little, so this flat was, was, there was some blue water or deep water right next to it, like dropped off. And so these trevally would come up onto the flat, and they were just coming from right and left. I mean, they were coming everywhere. And Fanny and I were spread out, and she was walking with the guide, and I'm over here standing on my line. One fish just totally like ripped my line apart, which was super exciting. We had a lot of blow ups with that, but we had lots of opportunities. And but trevally, I just love them. They want your fly. I like fish that want your fly.
Yeah, ones that don't break your heart because they don't, and questions your ability as an angler. Yeah. Not that I've ever had that experience. Yeah, no, it does. Those fish that do not like to eat flies does kind of make you feel that it's your fault, like that you're the angler, that it's not the fish or anything, but you're like, why can't I catch these fish? I've seen people catch fish.
We got a positive self-talk. It's just like real life too. Even when we're on the water, we need to I have different things I say when I'm swinging for steelhead. I bring in the vibes of friends I've lost throughout the years.
Yes.
And you got to stay positive, because it's easy to say, I thought I knew what I was doing. Why are they not eating? You can go down that rabbit hole, and instead you go, come on, I'm feeling it. Let's do this, or prove me wrong, or.
Well, and I think when it comes to positive thoughts and positive energy, you are that person. I think when we were first communicating with each other, and you took a pause, like, just before we end this, I just want to say something positive. And I was like, wow, it's really rare probably in this day and age, when things feel like it's falling apart and the world's kind of coming apart, to have positive messages. And I would love to talk about, how did you find that being a life coach was something that was needed based on your outfitting and taking other people fishing, that this was needed?
Well, I would say that I've always felt, because we've been both Jim and I have been in the fly fishing industry for probably 25 years now. And something that is important to me is that I always felt like I was helping people get a little bit more out of their day normally, right? Even if they were just talking about a fishing trip, that's better than the emails that they had at their desk or the stress they had in their life. It was always about helping people get more out of their life. And so now I divide my time between teaching others to fall in love with fly fishing and empowering them to create the life that really makes them feel alive. And that is, it's been a beautiful merging, I guess, where I am taking that to health, taking that to physical health, because, we all, especially as guides, we know that the healthier we are, the more water we'll cover, the more adventures we'll go on. And that's just in the fishing world. What about tying your shoes, getting your waders on, just doing life, plus all the other stressors in our life. And so, yes, 6 years ago, I needed a coach, and I needed to get out of my little stuck self. And you could call it a version of a midlife crisis or something, and I needed change, but I really realized that it was up to me. I got out of the blaming the rest of the world and just said, it's up to me. I've got to do this. And it's hard to do it by yourself. And so I had a partner who helped champion my goals too, that helped me. And my goals were, I need to move my body because I'm so in my head. I don't know what to do, because, there's a lot of science around moving your body and getting your head in a better mindset. It really is. It's not what, it would be better to it would be more fun to drink martinis and sit on the couch, but that doesn't help us. It doesn't help us at all. And so I needed to get out of some bad habits. I needed more too. And so I decided that if I could get unstuck, I know other people may feel like they're stuck too. And so it's my mission. I don't want people to ever feel like they have to get stuck in this one zone. They can grow, getting out of that fixed mindset and think about getting into being open and a growth mindset, and get around people who are going to champion your goals too. So I love what I do. It makes me better at being me too when I'm helping other people. Just like that's a major benefit.
I love it.
It's great. It's also been a gift to our fishing business that's seasonal. And so starting our coaching practice has really made a significant impact in our family, but also being able to give back to our community and help other people too, support Native Fish Society, like do all the things we really want to do.
Do you have it where with your life coach, do you incorporate let's go fly fishing with that?
Well, I love that I have a lot of crossover when it comes to clients. I know that when I first do a health assessment, I do these all the time. I ask people what brings you joy, and luckily, I know a lot of people who go fishing, and so one of their goals is I want to be able to feel confident enough and strong enough and have balance so that I can go fishing more, because that's when I feel good.
Yes.
So it's, and that may be just one of the things that they want to spearhead, but it's not a prescription, though I think it should be. It should be a prescription to go fishing.
Well, and there's been so many studies when it comes to mental health with fly fishing. We've had numerous people come on the podcast talking about and it's really not, and anyone who's probably listened to this before, but it's really not the relaxation of the water. It's actually the tying the knots and the flies and kind of using the small brain muscle and using that and strengthening that, because when we're in the things that we love, it's really easy to be happy, right? Like if you're out hunting and you're out fishing, if you're planning a trip with your friends, like being in the moment in those situations brings you joy. But what is really hard, and I'm pretty sure everyone can say that, is when you're not doing the things that you love, is how do we stay positive and how do we stay energetic? I know that is something that I try and think of, and that's why probably the February room is really helpful for me, is terms of being able to think of things from past to present to future and to be grateful for the things that we have when we're not really feeling all that awesome. I can't imagine that everybody in this world is feeling awesome all the time.
No, and my version of my shit show is different than your shit show, but how we see our shit shows is important. And so when we say, you mentioned gratitude, that was a life-changing thing for me. And I started that, years ago, where I would write down 3 to 5 things I'm grateful for. And believe me, with my shit show, some days were really hard. I'm grateful for that my kids have voices, even though they're very loud. I'm very grateful that, I'm all the stuff, right? It took some time. But then when I really focus on what I have, as far as the relationships in my life, it could be, just our home, the fact that we can pay our bills, whatever is that helps you feel grounded, and less anxious, because anxiety definitely is something that I contend with, and so does, my son. And so I found that practicing gratitude is super powerful. It sounds so simple, because it is, but it's so powerful. And I like to do it in the morning, but some people have found success in the evenings. It helps me set intention for the day. And it doesn't mean we're perfect. It just means we can maybe not get stuck in those feelings because it's important to feel those feelings, not be in denial over them, but know that, okay, right now I'm feeling sad, so I'm going to feel that, and then I'm going to keep it moving through, because I'm not going to let it take me down. I did have a friend tell me one time, you're allowed to have a pity party, just make sure make sure it's only 15 minutes, not 3 days,
Right. Absolutely. We as a family will sit at the dinner table and we'll go around at the end of the day and say what we're thankful for, like of the day, just because we can have some really bad days, but you can always find or like not bad days, but maybe there's like bad moments.
Yeah.
And then you can find in those moments maybe something that was really good about it, maybe something you learned. Especially with my youngest kid going into school, there's been a lot of things going on. And sometimes he comes to school and he's really upset. And I'm like, well, what did you learn out there? You know, it's like, let's try and figure out. And also with fly fishing, you know, I think there's so much that we can even learn about bad days on the river, because not every day is magical. I mean, I guess it's really great that you're outside, but some days I have to say I get a little bit defeated when it comes to fly fishing. I'm like, gosh, what is wrong with me and fly fishing?
When we really focus on celebrating it. So celebrate that you got your waders on and you went to the water and you were open to see what was going to be possible. I mean, I know, you know, we kind of have the joke of, well, we saw 3 bald eagles today. That's a win, you know, sarcasm, which is still wonderful because it is amazing that we were actually looking up and saw them instead of focused on just trying to, you know, get a fish. And so the fish is the bonus. That's how I explain when you're present, when you start being grateful for every little thing that you do, the side effect could be a fish. Like, that's what I coach is, you know, I mean, obviously a lot of people gain more energy, lose inflammation, you know, lose weight. Like, they do lots of things. We have different things we work on, but it all goes back to our habits. Okay. How are we speaking to ourselves? Who are we with? What are we doing? How could we have done this differently? I mean, I don't know about you, but when I go fishing and I get skunked and then I come home and I'm like, dang, I'm reflecting and I'm like, dang, why didn't I change my fly that one time? I'm lazy, you know, blah, blah, blah.
Oh my gosh, the lazy thing. Yeah. I'm like, why didn't I just change the fly? I'm like, but I didn't want to do a new knot. I only had 15 minutes.
Yeah, but what if we reflected more on those things that happen in our daily day, you know, not just in our fishing, but if we say, like, if your son comes home and you say, oh, bud, that's hard. Tell me, what could you have done differently? Or what's another way what could be another way to react to that? And when we can start saying that for ourselves, instead of kind of being negative, oh, I should have, could have, you know, don't should all over yourself. That doesn't help anybody. But when you say, oh, okay, well, let me just ask myself, okay, how could I have done this differently? Or next time, what can I do? Or say differently? Because that's all we have. That's what we get to do. So as much as, you know, I appreciate the compliment for being positive, I am also, like, I used to be queen complainer, and I can complain like a champ. Like, I could win a award. But I now try just not to get stuck in that, where I say, okay, I'm going to go to my tools. I'm going to call my friend and say, give me a different perspective to look through. I need a new lens because I'm trying, but it's not working.
Yes. And especially, it's hard to get that mind change, especially when you feel that your feelings are right. And I have some really great friends that are able to give me different perspective. And even though I'm like, well, yeah, I mean, that could be it, but it's not that way, you know, but then you take a few minutes. As you say, I love the idea of reflecting time. As time goes on, we are able to reflect about past actions, past being on the water. Have you had a client from fishing and also in your life coaching that you saw the biggest change? And what were those biggest changes that you saw?
Okay, well, I have one friend who I love because he fishes with Jim all the time, and he's gone to Alaska with me, and I just love him, and I've guided him here in Oregon too. And he and his wife, they both, I think he lost 30 pounds, she lost 35 or something, and this was years ago. And so they became my help clients, which was a referral from a fishing guide, became fishing clients for us too. And so I got to take Toby out fishing, And I'm, as a guide, I'm always like, okay, do you need help with, pulling your boots off, at the end of the day, or you know what I mean? Like trying to just help people get around. He's like, nope, not anymore, because I can move and groove and do whatever I want to do. And that's so nice. And then one time we were in Alaska, he brought his son, who was like 15 at the time, and we're hiking up the Copper River, and it's not easy to do that. Plus they're bears. But he's hiking up and moving up and down, and he's fishing it way faster and covering water way faster than his son, who's 15 and like, a champ. And so I love that. I love that he is just feeling like himself, right? Feeling like he's capable to do everything, and create these memories for his son. And so they've had endless fishing adventures. I mean, I love this guy. I'm always happy when he catches like the biggest fish of the season, which he tends to do with Jim. But he's become, we've had some great crossover in that regard. And then his wife, who she's become, like, she brought a group of women up and we did a women's class, a couple days at the clinic and on the water. And it was super fun, and fly tying. And it's just like fly fishing, I'm always just so grateful for the people that I get to meet, because I do feel like 99.9% of the people who fly fish are good people. So
right. Well, and I say this a lot, because we've had a lot of seasoned outfitters and guides, and they say that now that they've done it so long, I'm like, hey, are you taking new clients? And they're like, you know what? We're kind of at this point, I have my clients, they're my friends. And it's kind of at this point that where we go fishing and it feels like we're just going fishing. We're getting paid to fish with our friends, which is, you put the hard work in, you find the right clients, and they become family. And then you kind of create this new community within your network.
Totally. And I feel the same with both the same with our fly fishing clients all these years. They become dear friends. They came to our wedding and across the country, like and then same with the people I connect with through health. Everything is relationship, and that is what gives us joy, right? Yes. When you can connect. And but there's, for me, fishing is also a time not only for community, but you can have those micro moments with yourself on the water as well. And that's important too. You can share lunch together later. You can do that, or meet up. And I love doing that now. Community is everything. But when you have those people in your life that help you be a better you and help you do the things you want to do, that's good living.
That is really good living. I was wondering if you had, as the new year approaches, it's January 1st, if someone was kind of go into like, hey, I just want to create 2 better versions of me, what are probably the 2 best opinions that you can give on that?
Okay. 2. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, I know. I'm giving 2. Just like if people are taking baby steps. Baby steps.
Okay,
number
like,
1, I'm dipping my toe in the water.
Water. Yes. Drink water. At least 64 ounces of water. Hydrate. So, of course, it's always better to kick the soda habit. But even if you're still drinking your soda, just drink more water on top of that. And the way I do it is through structure. Structure is my best friend. So by 10 a.m., I've had 20 ounces of water. By noon, I've had another 20. And by 2:30, I've had the other 20. And then the rest is bonus, because I don't want it to go into my sleep and disturb my sleep. Yes. And so that's one. I would say that's one. The next is reflect. Reflect on what you're grateful for. Reflect on what you want more of in your life. And keep that positive self-talk going. And if you have a if it's hard for that, because guess what, it's uncomfortable to celebrate yourself sometimes. Yes. Just write it down. There's a lot of power in that, to write things down. And so write it down, and even if you really want to grow in that department, send it to me. I want to see it. Send me what you're grateful for, but also share it with someone you trust, because you're going to help not only yourself, but you could help unleash someone else who feels stuck as well.
Right. That is so true. I mean, anytime someone shares like their shit show, I'm like, hey, listen, I got some shit show stories too. Like I can help you. We can both talk about our shit shows.
Yeah.
I know that you said now if people wanted to reach out to you, maybe they want to first like, hey, let's go fishing. And then let's maybe talk about my new life changes. What's the best way for them to reach out to you and I guess to go fishing with either you or your husband?
Yeah, thank you. So I guess Instagram is one of them. It's Andras Outfitters, or, that's how you find us on Instagram. And then also most of my coaching practice and fishing is under Fly Fishing for Health. You can find everything at our website, www.andrasoutfitters.com, and it's ANDRAS.
Yeah, and we should probably just do a little bit touch. Like, I mean, Andras Outfitters, where are you guys fishing? What are you guys going? What's the target?
Our home water is the Rogue River. We are both river stewards through the Native Fish Society for the water. We're big wild steelhead advocates, and we love the Rogue River. We are based out of Talent, Oregon, which is, I guess the closest airport is Medford, and then we, fish the upper stretches, I guess, because it's a big river. So we fish the upper Rogue, and our travel, we've done a lot in Chile and Argentina. We go all over. COVID has slowed us down a bit,
as everybody.
Yes, but the world is opening up, and we dream of being who we were before one day again. So it's yes, we have some amazing people we work with all over the world. So we're grateful for that.
Well, and I just think that to have, create this relationship with Rachel, because then you can kind of create this great environment, go fishing, great mojo, catch the fish, and then go back and reflect on the things that you were grateful that day, which is hopefully catching either a nice steelhead or a nice tarpon.
Yeah. Ooh,
on Granny, was it Granny?
Oh, yeah, Trevally on Ranny Flat.
Ranny Flats. Let's go there. I'm gonna book my trip with you, Rachel, and we're gonna go check out Ranny Flats.
I don't even know if they're offering trips there right now. I know that the Teddy Aroa was bought out by some fancy hotel, and but if you go to the fancy hotel, maybe you should take a fly rod.
Okay, well, or you just should just knock on the door and just tell them how famous you are.
There
Flats.
That's right.
Well, I can't thank you enough for joining me today, Rachel. And I do love following you on Instagram and Facebook. It's just a good reminder of those quotes to reflect on your day. And I recommend anybody throughout the year. Sometimes it just takes a matter of just reading somebody's thoughts and good promos of just making your day a little bit happier.
Go to thefebruaryroom.com, where you can access a complete library of our podcast and read more about our guests, their fishing stories, and favorite fly patterns. We're always looking for exceptional fly fishing yarns, and if you have one to spin, shoot us an email at info@thefebruaryroom.com. The February Room is always free, but if you feel like throwing a nickel in the pond, we appreciate any additional listener support. For companies and individuals interested in sponsorship opportunities, please contact us for our media kit. Thanks for stopping by the February Room, and we'll see you down here next week.